As we talk about those who are advocating for these quarantine orders to be lifted prematurely, we often use the language of sacrifice, that those in the media, the Republican politicians, are willing to sacrifice people, including their own voters, for one of several different benefits, either the perceived improvement of their approval numbers, maybe a slightly higher chance that Trump will get reelected, or for short-term economic gains for themselves in terms of their stock portfolios. And I want to see more politicians, more Democrats, being willing to call it like it is. And we do have one. So Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted earlier, GOP is seriously arguing that it's worth sacrificing the lives of hourly workers so they can get a spray tan again, referencing Brian Kemp allowing tanning parlors to open up in just a few days. She says if they really wanted to reopen the economy, they'd fund mass testing, contact tracing, and healthcare for people. Instead, they're fighting against hospital funding. And that is 100% right. If the priority really was, we have to open things up, then at the very least, you could take the advice of medical experts who say, we have to have testing kits everywhere, we have to do contact tracing, we have to do everything possible to make sure that it doesn't start to spread again. But they won't do that. They want to have their cake and then infect you like with quarantine, with coronavirus too.
Yeah, I mean, as usual, she nails it. And what blows my mind really is the Senate bill that was agreed to, the small business relief package that was agreed to yesterday, that AOC is against when it comes to the House. The Democrats, Chuck Schumer, leader of the Democrats in the Senate, was acting as if securing some sort of testing and hospital funding was a huge concession on the part of the Republicans. They were fighting against it.
Yeah.
But then they did get some hospital funding and some funding for testing in the bill. But it was a concession for the Republicans, who just wanted basically more money to go to small businesses, corporations that have been abusing this fund to take out loans and get cash flow quickly. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that the Republicans don't want to give medical funding, don't want to ensure that the hospitals have what they need to adequately combat this disease should be counterintuitive if the party was operating in good faith, when really what they're about is just enriching sectors and their donors and themselves with this quick amount of cash flow liquidity that's going to be coming from our tax dollars.
I 100% agree. I can't believe, with all of the obvious misinformation, lack of care for the number of lives that have been lost, the Democratic response has been, for the most part, just silence. Or just going along. Like, we shouldn't have to look. What are you saying?
No, or Pelosi going on late night TV and showing off her incredibly lavish kitchen. There's just no understanding. Exactly. And they're allowing the Republicans to frame, while the Republicans are enriching their donors and their businesses, allowing the Republicans to frame themselves as the more populist ones, because Schumer and Pelosi are like, how about some more COBRA grants and funding? And they're
you have to provide an alternative,
marketers.
and they really won't. They're just letting it happen. Like 45,000 people have died that we know of. I'll acknowledge that, but 45,000 people have died. The vast majority of them didn't need to, and the Democratic response, in large part, is, well, I mean, we don't want to be impolite.
And part of why the Republicans can get away with it is because Black Americans, low-income people, are disproportionately affected by this. And so, one, Republicans don't care, and two, Democrats don't care as much as they should. I mean, the Democrats should be talking about how these are workers on the front lines. The Whole Foods cashier who's, checking out your acai, yeah, they're disproportionately affected. And could die from coronavirus. Yeah. And those are the people that we should be protecting with our government, not Shake Shack.
Exactly. And the ice cream thing, like the right is, like, they always talk about how they're against the elites and all of that. And they say that the Democrats are for them when they, obviously blah, 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 all the stuff about Trump. Gold-plated toilet, you fill in all of that. They've got like people like on the Fox and Friends host who's talking about how au pairs need to be protected because that's the only problem with the immigration change, is that our servants will be messed with. And then she goes on and says today, so Trump has reassured us that those sorts of servants for middle-class families will actually not be affected by this. First of all, no middle-class family has a goddamn butler. They are teeing it up that they are the ones who are elitist, out of touch, and willing to take the entire working class and feed it through a meat grinder so that the NASDAQ can go up by 10% for the next week so they can recover a little bit of the money they lost before selling it off again. And the Democrats are just making it kind of a wash. And really fast, there's just one other thing I want to show about this. In terms of the being willing to sacrifice so many to reopen the economy to benefit the most wealthy people in the country, and in reference to the fact that I've been calling them just an out-and-out death cult at this point. Take a look at this graphic. This is from I think it's local news at one of these protests. A guy has a sign that says "Sacrifice the weak, reopen now." And I understand it's just one person and it's one sign, but they are becoming more comfortable with just openly saying, yeah, sacrifice, not me, not allow myself to make the choice. Sacrifice the weak. Sacrifice them so that I can benefit right now. And that guy probably won't even benefit. He's likely to get coronavirus and die. But wealthy politicians that he supports, they will benefit in the short term at least.
It's not the weak. People are being affected in this way that's, you can't tell how someone's going to be affected by this, how they're going to respond. There was a kid in New Jersey, just, a town away, a few towns away from where I grew up, who was in a medically induced coma for weeks. He just got out, but he could have died. He was 25 years old, lacrosse player, athlete. We don't know how this is going to affect everyone. And yeah, of course, the pro-life people want to sacrifice the weak for the economy to reopen. This is really unmasking themselves here.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.